Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
And the winter coat will feel comfortable this morning. Our temperatures are down near freezing in a few places. We'll talk more about what it will feel like when you head outside.
Big shakeup, strong reactions after a major coaching decision at UNC. What we're hearing from Hubert Davis and what could come next after he was fired. Plus, prices climbing fast. Gas is jumping back toward record territory. What it could mean when you stop by the gas station. Hey, thanks so much for joining us this Wednesday morning on WRAL News. Happy to have you with us here at 4:30. I'm Chris Lovingood. Swinging over to your weather forecast with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. As advertised, it is colder this morning, and I dressed appropriately walking out the house.
I guess you did. That is a good thing. Our skies are mostly clear, and so we are looking at our temperatures being chilly and clear skies out there. 37 degrees is our current temperature. We take a look at our temperature and wind chill together. There's a little bit of wind chill out there. It feels like 29 in Fayetteville. It feels like 32 in Goldsboro, but for the most part, our wind is pretty calm, and we're looking at temperatures in the 30s this morning. So that's a little bit colder than we were yesterday. We're looking at temperatures as much as 9 degrees colder in Rocky Mount, but 15 degrees colder in Fayetteville and 16 degrees colder in Southern Pines. We have a small chance of frost out there with temperatures down near freezing in some places, so you might have to scrape quickly. But we do have a warm up that starts today. We'll be in the mid-50s at lunchtime, and highs will be in the mid-60s for this afternoon. Coming up, we're going to talk more about when temperatures climb back to the 80s.
All right, sounds good, Elizabeth. We'll come back to you in a bit. This morning, there's both relief and disappointment about Hubert Davis being fired as UNC's men's head basketball coach. Davis himself released a statement saying, in part, quote, "My desire was to continue to coach here. This opportunity has truly been such a blessing." And, quote, "My goal is to coach again in the very near future." WRAL's Kirsten Clark joins us live to talk a little bit more about this outside the Dean Dome. Kirsten, Davis being fired happened less than a week after the Tar Heels' early exit from the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, Chris, as a Tar Heel lifer, Hubert Davis spent a lot of time here in this arena, both as a player and a coach. And UNC's second straight loss in the first round of the tournament, in this time after giving up a 19-point lead to 11th seed VCU, was just the last straw for the university and the last game for Davis as head coach. So let's take a look back. Davis played for legendary coach Dean Smith before returning as an assistant coach to Roy Williams and being picked as Williams' successor in 2021. In his 5 years as head coach, Davis led the Heels to an ACC regular season title, 4 trips to the NCAA tournament, and a trip to the Final Four. That Final Four appearance came in year 1, but the next 4 years fell short of the program's storied history, which led to Davis's fate. So let's take a listen to what UNC fans had to say about that announcement.
I'm not surprised at all, no. I'm sure he'll do great at whatever is next.
It's unfortunate, but maybe change is needed for the team to just, experience something different.
Yeah, so hearing some mixed reaction there. So what's next? UNC's Board of Trustees members will meet here over the next 2 days. They're basically the ones who will sign off on that contract for Hubert Davis's replacement. Chancellor Lee Roberts will play a big role in that decision, and we'll be here trying to get some insight. That meeting starts at 9 o'clock this morning. Live in Chapel Hill, Kirsten Clark, WRAL News.
And right now on our WRAL YouTube channel, Pat Welter and Brian Murphy from our WRAL sports team share their thoughts about Davis's firing. Plus, you can hear more reaction from players and fans. Be sure to like and subscribe for more coverage as this story develops. And you can also go to WRAL.com for much more on this story. That includes a closer look at the top candidates to replace Davis and all of our reports of the reaction from Chapel Hill. State election officials today are expected to finalize the results of a closely contested Republican primary. Longtime Senate leader Phil Berger conceded yesterday to Rockingham County Sheriff Sam Page. Page beat Berger by 23 votes in the race for the GOP nomination for the Triad area seat. That's after 2 recounts. And the results are set to be made official today. Page is expected to take on Democrat Steve Lucking in the November general election, and he says he hopes when legislators return to Raleigh next month, they'll work together to agree on a spending plan.
I want to see every child have an opportunity to get quality education.
Lucking says that he is looking forward to a spirited race against Page. And for analysis on what's next, including for taxpayers like you, check out our story on WRAL.com. You know, the average cost for a gallon of gas is getting closer and closer to $4 a gallon. This morning, it's $3.98 nationwide. In Raleigh, it's $3.81. And the lowest average we can find in our area is Goldsboro at $3.72. Now, gas prices have actually neared levels that we've only seen a couple times before. Let's bring in Kelsey Coffey to talk more about that. She's at the BP Exxon on Gorman Street in Raleigh. Kelsey, what are you seeing right there at their prices?
Well, Chris, we've only seen prices this high twice before, most recently in 2022, and then before that back in 2008. So this morning, gas is $2.89 a gallon here on Gorman Street in Raleigh. But you can see when gas was $2.81 a gallon at this same location just 3 weeks ago, right after the war on Iran began. Patrick Dahan with Gas Buddy says the Trump administration and other government entities don't have much leverage to adjust these prices. That's because oil is a part of the global market. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency may waive regulations that require a more expensive summer blend to help lower prices at the pump. States like Georgia, Maryland, and Connecticut are considering pausing their state gas tax. Dahan says the Trump administration is also talking about waiving what's called the Jones Act. That would basically allow it to be a more simple process for gas to get from one part of the country to another, but you wouldn't see prices be reduced in a visible way. So Dahan says drivers in those states that are considering pausing the state gas tax, he says that those drivers may see some immediate relief, but so far North Carolina is not on that list. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Raleigh police are warning people after a man was arrested and accused of impersonating an officer. They say this man right here on your screen, 33-year-old Meredith Cromartie, has been charged with impersonating an officer 6 times. He made his first court appearance yesterday and is being held on no bond. He surrendered to the Orange County Sheriff's Office this week on outstanding charges from Wake County. The most recent charges come from an incident last week. That's when police say Cromartie tried to conduct a traffic stop. After that, he continued to make contact with the victim and force them into sexual contact. Today, there will be more progress made in repairing the Raleigh Convention Center. New equipment to cool down the center will arrive today, and this will replace the temporary equipment the center was using since the fire that happened back on December 1st. A crane will be set up on McDowell Street, and that is on April 1st. And basically, that'll load the new equipment onto the roof. Expect lane closures on streets around the convention center for the first week of April. The NTSB is focusing on ground radar regarding the deadly crash between an Air Canada passenger jet and a fire truck at LaGuardia Airport. They say it never issued an alert for the jet and fire truck being moments away from colliding. That's potentially because the fire truck did not have a transponder. Investigators are also analyzing black boxes, scrutinizing the last words of the pilots and air traffic controllers.
At 1 minute and 12 seconds, the flight crew confirmed that the landing checklist was complete. At 1 minute and 3 seconds, an airport vehicle made a radio transmission to the tower, but that transmission was stepped on by another radio transmission.
Investigators say it's unclear if the air traffic controller was dealing with another situation at the time. And they say the United Airlines flight smoke that was reported and the staffing levels Sunday night, these are also being looked at. New overnight, the U.S. Senate rejected the latest effort from Democrats to stop the war on Iran. Last night, lawmakers voted to not bring the War Powers resolution to the chamber floor. This is the third resolution from Democrats to rein in President Donald Trump's future actions with Iran without congressional approval. They say they will continue to do this until Republicans agree to hold public hearings on Iran. Meanwhile, the president approved the deployment of more than 1,000 soldiers to the Middle East. We're also learning that troops from Fort Bragg are going to the Middle East. Fox News and the Wall Street Journal report the 82nd Airborne is being deployed to that region as the war in Iran continues. 3,000 members of a brigade combat team are going. It's a rapid response unit that can go anywhere in the world within about 18 hours. An official announcement from the Pentagon is expected soon. A Raleigh man accused of plotting a mass shooting and being connected to neo-Nazis is due in federal court today. Eric Berg was held on an involuntary mental health commitment after his arrest this month. According to federal court records, he obsessed over guns and death. He even shared posts and violent extremism on social media, according to authorities. He's charged with communicating a threat, and he's expected in court at 10 a.m. Cary-based Epic Games is laying off 1,000 workers as it adjusts to slow sales for its Fortnite game. The company says these cuts are in addition to another $500 million in cost-cutting efforts. In a note to employees, CEO Tim Sweeney points to slow sales of its Fortnite game. He says they are spending significantly more than they're making. The company said slower sales of consoles and increased competition are also contributing factors, but it's not clear how many of these cuts would be at its Cary headquarters or what this would mean for the old Cary Town Center site. Your time this morning is 4:40. Big change ahead. A major energy project off our coast is suddenly canceled. Why billions of dollars are now shifting and how it could affect your wallet. Plus, check your phone. A warning this morning about a scam targeting drivers in Wake County. What you need to know before you click or pay.
And we're down into the 30s for most of us heading out the door this morning. We'll talk about the warm-up that actually begins this afternoon.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
It is 4:43, and we're taking a look at Pittsburgh this morning, and all is quiet. We're going to check out our temperatures, and we're looking at 37 in Raleigh, 37 in Durham, 34 Fayetteville, 30 in Roanoke Rapids, 35 in Wilson and Goldsboro. So it is colder this morning than it was yesterday. So you'll be happy. In a jacket, we'll probably see the kids out at the bus stop in a coat. But even though this morning is chilly, we are looking at a warmer afternoon. We begin the warm-up. Lunchtime will be in the 50s, and then we climb into the 60s for this afternoon. And, of course, it doesn't stop there. We're looking at 70s for tomorrow and then 80s as we wrap up the work week. But we also have the potential for some cooler temperatures over the weekend. Along with the front, I'll show you what else that front will bring coming up. Chris?
A potential deal is in the works to end long TSA checkpoint lines at airports nationwide. That's according to NBC News. Under a proposal from Senate Republicans, Homeland Security would be fully funded. This would include TSA, the Coast Guard, even FEMA. Portions of ICE fighting drug trafficking would also be fully funded, but not immigration enforcement. That would be negotiated later. A deal to end the partial government shutdown would mean TSA officers would be paid again. And mind you, this week, they're set to miss a third paycheck. ICE agents arrived at airports across the country this week to help alleviate those long lines. Delta Airlines says it is temporarily cutting off special airport services for members of Congress. The airline cites strain on resources tied to the partial shutdown. Lawmakers typically have expedited screening, airports escorts to bypass long security lines, and access to dedicated reservation desks for last-minute travel changes. The state is warning Wake County drivers about a text scam. Here's how it goes. The text message appears to be from the Wake County District Court. It warns people about fake traffic and toll violations, and the recipient is told to either pay a fine or appear in court. Plot twist. This is not legit. If you got one of these messages, authorities say do not respond. GOP insiders are considering major changes at the state bar. That's the group that investigates and disciplines lawyers accused of misconduct. Today, a state Senate committee recommended giving political appointees full control over that bar and to make its operations more secretive. Several of the state's most prominent attorneys attended today's meeting to object to the changes, saying they're going too far. But supporters said the increased secrecy is needed to protect people's reputations against rumors that can spread online. The new recommendations can now be considered by the legislature as a whole this spring. Also happening today, a big night to celebrate teachers here locally. Wake County schools are honoring more than 160 educators earning national certification. District leaders will also recognize the School Library Media Coordinator of the Year. The celebration starts at 5:30 at the Hilton Garden Inn in Cary. A planned offshore wind project off the North Carolina coast is now canceled after the federal government agreed to spend nearly $1 billion to stop it. This is the Carolina Long Bay lease area, about 20 miles off Bald Head Island. It was slated to become an offshore wind farm capable of powering roughly 300,000 homes. Well, now that project is off the table. The federal government is reimbursing the company behind this project, Total Energies. They're set to get nearly $1 billion in public funds to cancel development. Under this deal, the investment is now shifting toward oil and gas projects, including liquefied natural gas, or LNG. The move is raising questions about what it could mean for future energy costs.
So I think folks are trying to figure out how to reconcile this with the fact that we do need more electrons on the grid. We certainly need more clean energy. Every state right now is looking at how we can develop more energy, not how we should be taking options off the table.
Governor Josh Stein called it a, quote, terrible deal and a waste of federal funds in a post on X. Federal officials say offshore wind is too expensive and unreliable. They say shifting the investment to natural gas will provide more dependable power. So we have told you a lot about the drought and the wildfire risk in our area, right? Well, look at your screen. This is why. In Moore County, someone performed a controlled burn on their property. They thought it was extinguished, but some hot spots sparked, and it scorched these buildings on the property. State leaders continue to urge people against burning anything outside, and not just our state leaders. Our team of meteorologists do the exact same thing. Elizabeth, this is why you showed that drought map where we are right now, because when we say do not burn outside, we mean do not burn outside.
And yesterday, it was especially windy. We didn't actually have an increased fire danger from the National Weather Service, but it was a breezy day yesterday. So, you know, it's so dry, and we don't really have any good soaking rains in our forecast. We do have some showers in the forecast for, say, late Friday into Saturday, but it doesn't look like a whole lot. We take a look at Rocky Mount Mills this morning, and we're looking at partly cloudy skies, 37 degrees. Our temperatures are likely to hold in the mid-30s this morning in the Triangle, but a little cooler than that in some other spots. As a matter of fact, looking at 34 in Chapel Hill, 33 in Wake Forest right now, 35 Apex, 31 in Clayton. So we're close to freezing in some spots, and especially around Southern Pines and Fayetteville, our temperatures this morning are running about 15 degrees colder than they were this time yesterday. Just a little bit of cloud cover out there. This is a look at our satellite view, and you can see some clouds back to the west. So some of those are going to drift across our area. We're not likely to be completely overcast this morning, but it will be a little on the, we'll at least see a few clouds coming and going. The blue shaded area is where temperatures are below normal, and in the yellows and reds above normal. And so today it's going to be close to normal this afternoon, below normal this morning. And then we have a nice warm up for the next few days. But look at all this cold air that comes pushing in just in time for the weekend. This afternoon, our temperatures are close to normal, mid 60s in Raleigh and Durham, and around 70 in Fayetteville. We still have some chilly mornings in our forecast, but the next time that we'll be down into the 30s will actually be Sunday morning. So there could be some patchy frost again Sunday morning. Ahead of that, though, we're looking at warmer temperatures. Still not quite time to plant. For most of us, you shouldn't really be planting before, say, April 10th or 11th. That's the average last freeze for our area. Our temperature this afternoon is going to be nice and mild, warmer than yesterday, looking at 66 degrees. And then we can climb to 79 for Thursday and 87 on Friday. After that, a cold front comes through, and look what happens behind that front. Our high on Saturday is only 58 degrees. That 87, though, for Friday is likely to tie the record in Raleigh, and we could break the record in Fayetteville with a high of 90 degrees. We're looking at the potential for nice warm temperatures over the next 6 to 10 days, and you can see how temperatures begin to climb again once you get past the weekend. And look at Tuesday is the Durham Bulls home opener, and the weather looks perfect for that.
All right, not complaining about it, Elizabeth. Thank you. Your time is 4:50. Kindness takes off. The simple gesture making a difference for TSA workers at RDU. Plus, the iconic Budweiser Clydesdales are headed to North Carolina. Why this rare appearance is drawing crowds and attention. So people are showing their kindness to TSA workers because they're not being paid right now. RDU put out a message saying grocery store and gas gift cards, they can now be donated to TSA workers. Some people decided to donate, including Eric Marsh. He dropped off his donation yesterday.
I felt an obligation to come here to try to donate some money that they can hopefully get a bite of food and possibly some gas in their tank to come to work when they're not being paid.
Let's say you want to donate. You can drop off a grocery or gas gift card at the TSA supervisor podiums in Terminal 1 or Terminal 2 at RDU. That's at the back of the checkpoint. For your entertainment news this morning, here's David Daniel with today's Hollywood Minute.
A piece of Black Panther history is among more than 1,500 movie and pop culture items in Prop Store's spring entertainment auction. In addition to a Black Panther stunt helmet from the 2018 film, the auction includes a Maximus Arena helmet and mask from Gladiator, a light-up C-3PO head from Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, a screen-matched Wilson volleyball from Castaway, and Quint's harpoon gun from Jaws. The live action runs through Friday. More info at propstoreauction.com.
Our mission is to find life in the far reaches of our solar system.
And they'll have one more season to do it. Apple TV says it's renewed For All Mankind for a 6th and final season, fulfilling the original arc envisioned by its creators. Meanwhile, Netflix has announced production has begun on season 5 of Bridgerton, focusing on Francesca Bridgerton Sterling and her late husband's cousin, Michaela Sterling. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
For All Mankind is one of the best science fiction stories ever written. All right, Budweiser Clydesdales are coming to North Carolina. The iconic horses will be in downtown New Bern on Friday, and they'll do 2 laps around the area. The horses have been famous going back generations for their role in Prohibition, and they have gained additional popularity in the last 30 years because, yes, that's right, their appearance in Super Bowl commercials. The Wilson Warbirds could see a shakeup ahead of the first season. The Milwaukee Brewers are in talks to sell the controlling stake of the team. The Warbirds are the minor league affiliate of the Brewers. A family behind a private equity firm in Chicago could get that majority stake. The Warbirds have their first game next month after moving from Zebulon. Your time this morning is 4:56. Belichick is back. Season 2 has started for the UNC football head coach. Why he's optimistic for this new season. Plus, no confidence vote. New questions about the Arizona sheriff involved in the Nancy Guthrie investigation. The concerns about his leadership and credibility. And saving on streaming. Five on Your Side has advice on how you can still binge your favorite shows without breaking the bank.